Miriam sat in the dimly lit hospital room, cradling her newborn son, David, in her arms. Her three other boys, Eli, Nathan, and Joel, were asleep at home under the care of a kind neighbor. Her heart should have been full, but a cold emptiness gripped her. Her husband, Patrick, had left. She had sensed his restlessness for months. The late nights, the slurred words, the stench of alcohol clinging to him like a shadow. But she never thought he would abandon them completely. Yet he had. Without a word, without a note. Just gone. Miriam wiped a tear from her cheek and kissed her baby's forehead.
"We'll make it,"
she whispered.
"I promise."
The days that followed were grueling. She returned home to find that Patrick had taken what little savings they had, leaving her with nothing but her determination. The neighbors whispered, some pitying her, others scoffing at her misfortune. But Miriam refused to be broken. Despite the hardships, she worked tirelessly. She took on multiple jobs, cleaning homes during the day, sewing garments at night, and selling homemade bread in the early mornings. Her hands were calloused, her body weary, but she never once complained. Her sons were her life, and she was determined to give them a future. Years passed, and Miriam's sons grew under her watchful care. She taught them discipline, perseverance, and the value of hard work. But sacrifice often comes with pain. One rainy night, Miriam returned home late from work, her clothes soaked through, her body aching from exhaustion. As she stepped into their small home, she saw Eli, the eldest, attempting to cook a meager meal for his younger brothers. The pot boiled over, steam rising, his face tense with concentration.
"Mama."
David, the youngest, ran to her, wrapping his little arms around her legs.
"Eli made burnt rice."
Eli sighed.
"I tried, Mama. I wanted to help."
Miriam forced a smile, though her heart ached.
"You did well, my son. And tomorrow, I'll teach you how to make it better."
The nights were long, and the struggles never seemed to end. There were days she went without eating so her children could have enough. There were nights she sewed until her fingers bled, just to earn a few more coins. And there were mornings when she had to swallow her pride and accept charity from kind-hearted strangers. One evening, she collapsed in exhaustion while kneading dough for the morning bread sales. Eli rushed to her side, his eyes wide with fear.
"Mama, you need to rest."
"I can't afford to rest."
She whispered.
"Not yet."
But the hardships didn't stop there. The boys faced bullying at school for wearing secondhand clothes and coming to class with patched-up shoes. Joel, the artistic one, often spent his break time sketching instead of playing because he didn't want anyone to see his torn socks. Nathan fought off tears when a classmate mocked their mother for cleaning houses. One winter, David fell severely ill, burning with fever. Miriam sat beside him all night, pressing cool cloths to his forehead, praying silently. She couldn't afford a doctor, but she refused to let her child suffer. When morning came, she carried him through the freezing streets to the local clinic, begging the nurse to help. The nurse, moved by her desperation, provided medicine free of charge. Through every hardship, Miriam remained a pillar of strength. She made their tiny house a home filled with warmth and love, even if it lacked material comforts. On special nights, she would gather her sons and tell them stories of great men who rose from nothing.
"You don't need wealth to be rich,"
she would say.
"You only need determination and faith."
Eli, the eldest, took his mother's words to heart. One evening, he approached Miriam with an idea.
"Mama, what if we help you bake? If we all pitch in, we can make more bread and sell more."
Miriam's eyes filled with tears of pride.
"My son, you are wise beyond your years."
From then on, the boys took turns kneading dough and carrying baskets of warm bread to sell in the marketplace before school. It was backbreaking work, but they did it with a sense of purpose. Every coin they earned was a step toward a better future. Through sacrifice, struggle, and unyielding love, Miriam raised her sons with an unbreakable spirit. She knew life would never be easy, but she also knew that her boys were destined for greatness. 30 years later, Miriam's sacrifice bore fruit. Eli became a respected businessman, building a company from the ground up. Nathan, with his relentless ambition, became a renowned lawyer, known for defending the underprivileged. Joel's art was displayed in galleries across the country, and David, once the tiny boy in her arms, became a skilled doctor, saving lives. Miriam no longer had to worry about where their next meal would come from. Her sons had made sure she lived in comfort, buying her a beautiful home and showering her with love. She had raised them well. Then, Patrick returned. It was a stormy evening when the knock came at the door. Miriam opened it, and there he stood, older, frilier, his once arrogant posture replaced with hunched shoulders. His eyes darted nervously, as though he expected the door to be slammed in his face.
"My sons,"
he pleaded when they gathered.
"I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I need it. I was a fool, and I've lived with that shame. Please, let me be part of your lives."
Eli's jaw tightened.
You left us to suffer, and now that we've made something of ourselves, you come crawling back.
Nathan crossed his arms.
Where were you when Mama worked 3 jobs just to keep us fed? When she cried herself to sleep?
Joel turned away, his eyes filled with unspoken pain.
You don't deserve us.
Patrick hung his head.
"I know, but I've lost everything. My other marriages failed because I was a selfish, lazy man. You were the only family I ever had. Please, let me fix what I broke."
Only David remained silent, staring at the broken man before them. Miriam placed a hand on Eli's arm.
My sons, I will not tell you what to do, but I will say this: carrying anger in your hearts will only burden you. Forgiveness is not for him. It's for you.
After much contemplation and emotional turmoil, David was the first to soften. He visited Patrick alone, listening to his regrets, seeing the frailty in his father's eyes. It took weeks of small conversations, moments of shared silence, and a deep yearning for closure before David found it in himself to forgive. He then took it upon himself to convince his brothers, not for Patrick's sake, but for their own peace of mind. Little by little, the walls came down. One by one, the brothers relented, extending hesitant hands to the man who had once walked away from them. But though forgiveness was granted, trust was not easily restored. The air in the grand living room was thick with tension. Miriam's sons stood in a semicircle, their expressions hardened, their hearts torn. Patrick, once a towering figure of authority in their childhood nightmares, now stood as a fragile remnant of his former self, aged, weary, and desperate. His sunken eyes darted from one son to another, searching for a flicker of mercy.
"I know I have no right to ask,"
Patrick rasped, his voice carrying the weight of years spent in regret.
"but I'm asking anyway. Please, I just want to be part of your lives again."
Eli was the first to break the silence, his tone sharp as a blade.
You mean our lives that you abandoned? The ones we struggled to rebuild while you were off drinking your way through every failure?
Patrick winced but did not argue. He had no defense. Nathan folded his arms tightly across his chest, shaking his head.
Do you even know how many nights we went to bed hungry? How many times we watched Mama break down because she had to choose between feeding us and paying the rent?
Joel, always the quiet one, spoke next.
Do you remember my 10th birthday? I sat on the porch the whole day, waiting for you. Mama kept telling me you'd show up. I believed her. You never came.
His voice cracked, his usually composed demeanor slipping. Patrick swallowed hard.
I was a fool. A coward. I can't take back what I did, but I've paid for it, believe me. Every night, I close my eyes, and I see what I lost. My family. My boys.
David, the youngest, had remained silent all this while, his fingers clasped together in contemplation. He studied the man who had walked away from him before he could even form proper memories. Unlike his brothers, he had no direct recollection of their father, only the consequences of his absence. But David had spent his life healing others, learning the power of mercy. He took a deep breath.
I forgive you.
The words struck like a thunderclap in the room. Eli turned to him sharply.
What?
I forgive him.
David repeated, looking at each of his brothers.
Not because he deserves it, but because we deserve peace.
Miriam, who had been silently observing, stepped forward.
David is right. Holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. It will only weigh you down.
Eli ran a hand over his face, pacing.
I don't know if I can.
He admitted, his voice hoarse.
It's not that simple, Mama.
It never is.
She agreed.
But I ask you, my sons, to consider this. Did I teach you to be men of hate? Or men of honor?
Silence followed. A storm of emotions raged in each son's heart, but their mother's words carried the power of decades of wisdom. Miriam had endured more than any of them, yet she stood tall, her heart untainted by bitterness. She had every reason to despise Patrick, yet she spoke of forgiveness. Slowly, Joel exhaled, rubbing his temples.
I don't know if I'll ever forget, but I don't want to carry this burden anymore.
Nathan clenched his fists, then released them.
You can't undo the past, Dad. But if you truly mean to make things right, you'll have to earn our trust.
Patrick nodded rapidly, his eyes glistening.
I will. I swear it.
Eli was the last to relent, his walls the strongest. But he saw the way his mother's eyes pleaded, not for Patrick, but for them. To be free of their pain. He let out a long sigh and finally, reluctantly, nodded.
Fine. But don't expect things to be easy.
A shaky breath escaped Patrick's lips, as if he had been holding it for decades.
That's more than I deserve. Thank you.
Miriam smiled, a weary yet content smile. But when Patrick turned to her, there was no mistaking the steel in her eyes.
I forgive you too, Patrick. But can't be your wife again. I built this life on my own, and I will not undo it.
Patrick lowered his gaze, nodding in understanding.
I know, and I accept that.
As the storm outside raged on, the storm within the family settled into something fragile yet promising. It would take time, perhaps years, to rebuild even fragments of what was lost. But forgiveness had been given, and that was the first step toward healing. Miriam looked at her sons, pride swelling in her heart. They had chosen honor over bitterness, proving that they were, indeed, the men she had raised them to be.
We were built from love, shaped by her hands. Through fire and storm, we learned to stand. She gave us strength, she gave us grace.
Amara was only a child when tragedy struck. A devastating illness swept through the village, claiming the lives of her beloved parents. Left with no family except for her late mother's estranged sister, Aunt Binta, Amara was forced into a home where love was absent and cruelty thrived. Aunt Binta saw Amara as nothing more than an unwanted responsibility, an extra mouth to feed. She despised the girl's blindness, believing it made her useless. From dawn until dusk, Amara was burdened with endless chores, sweeping, cooking, fetching water, and scrubbing the floors until her delicate hands bled. Yet, no matter how hard she worked, it was never enough. Her cousins, Adia and Kemi, were no different from their mother. They took pleasure in tormenting Amara, tripping her as she walked, hiding her few belongings, and whispering cruel taunts in her ears.
A blind girl like you are good for nothing.
They sneered. Their laughter echoed in her ears, cutting deeper than any wound. Despite their wickedness, Amara never retaliated. Her spirit remained unbroken, her heart as pure as gold. In the darkest moments, she found solace in the warmth of the sun against her skin, in the soothing sounds of the wind rustling through the trees. At night, she whispered to the stars, imagining they were her parents watching over her. One fateful afternoon, while carrying a heavy pot of water from the village stream, she stumbled over a loose stone and fell hard, the water spilling all over her tattered dress. As she struggled to gather herself, she heard a gentle yet firm voice says,
"Are you hurt?"
That voice belonged to none other than Prince Obina. He had been out hunting with his guards when he witnessed the cruel laughter of some villagers who had seen her fall. Unlike the others, he did not mock her. Instead, he reached out a hand and helped her up. Amara could not see his face, but she could feel the kindness in his touch. Something stirred within the prince. He had met many women, but none had the quiet strength that Amara possessed. She did not complain about her suffering. Instead, she carried her burdens with grace. Her resilience and beauty, both inside and out, captivated him in a way he had never known before. He found himself returning to the village stream day after day, seeking her out, talking with her, learning about her world. He listened as she described how she saw things through sound, touch, and feeling. Each day, his admiration for her grew. But as whispers of their growing friendship spread, trouble brewed in the palace. When the Queen Mother, Queen Yuzo, heard that her only son was interested in a blind orphan, her fury knew no bounds.
A blind girl? She is not fit to be a princess,
she roared. Little did Amara know, her life was about to change forever. Whether for better or worse, only time would tell. Prince Obina's love for Amara grew stronger with each passing day, defying all expectations. He saw beyond her blindness, beyond the whispers of the villagers, beyond the wrath of his mother. To him, she was a beacon of grace and resilience, a woman whose soul shone brighter than any jewel in the kingdom. But Queen Yuzo was determined to crush their love before it could fully bloom. She summoned her son to the royal chambers, her face twisted in fury.
You will not shame this family by bringing that wretched blind girl into our palace,
she thundered.
A future queen must be strong, capable, worthy of ruling alongside you. She is none of those things.
Prince Obina met her gaze with unwavering defiance.
Strength is not measured by sight, mother,
he said, his voice calm but firm.
Amara sees with her heart. She feels the world in ways we never could. She is more than worthy.
But the Queen Mother would not be swayed. She spread malicious rumors about Amara, hoping to turn the villagers against her. She paid palace spies to humiliate her, to make her feel small, to drive her away. Yet through it all, Amara endured. She would not give in to their cruelty, nor would she let go of the love she had found in Prince Obina. One day, the prince made his boldest move yet. In the dead of night, he rode through the village, past the watchful eyes of the palace guards, and arrived at Aunt Binta's home.
Come with me,
he whispered to Amara.
Let me protect you.
Tears welled in her unseeing eyes.
But your mother.
I do not fear her wrath,
he assured her.
I fear losing you more.
With nothing but the clothes on her back, Amara left behind the House of Torment and stepped into a new chapter of her life. The palace doors opened for her, but so too did the storm that awaited her within. Queen Yuzo greeted her with a smile laced with venom.
Welcome to your new home, dear Amara,
she said, her voice sweet as honey.
I do hope you find it accommodating.
The moment the prince turned his back, the queen's claws came out. She isolated Amara, dismissing the maidens assigned to assist her. She ensured the blind girl's meals were served late, cold, or not at all. She planted obstacles in the halls, forcing Amara to stumble and fall, delighting in the bruises left behind. But Amara endured, just as she always had. She would not let the queen break her. She had fought to be here, and she would fight to stay. Yet, as Prince Obina's love continued to shine upon her, the Queen Mother's hatred grew into something more sinister, something deadly. Little did Amara know, her true battle was only beginning. As the days passed, the Queen's cruelty escalated. She could no longer tolerate Amara's presence in the palace, nor could she accept her son's undying devotion to the blind girl. Every day, she devised new ways to torment Amara, waiting for the moment she would break. Then came the day Prince Obinna was called away to a neighboring kingdom for an annual meeting. The moment he left, Amara felt a deep unease settle over her like a thick fog. Without him, she was at the mercy of the Queen Mother, and she feared what was to come. That afternoon, Queen Yuzo struck. She entered Amara's chambers, her voice as sharp as a dagger.
Your prince is gone, blind girl.
She hissed.
There is no one to protect you now.
Before Amara could react, a hard slap landed across her face. The force sent her stumbling, but she refused to cry out. The queen's fists followed. Blows rained upon her fragile body as Amara struggled to shield herself.
You do not belong here.
The queen shrieked.
You are a curse upon this palace.
The palace maids had been dismissed, leaving Amara utterly alone. There was no one to hear her silent suffering, no one to stop the queen's wrath. When the prince finally returned, he found Amara curled up on the floor, bruised and trembling. He pulled her into his arms, fury burning in his eyes.
Who did this to you?
He demanded. Tears streamed down Amara's face. She did not need to answer. The truth was evident. The queen had gone too far, and Prince Obinna would not stand for it. The palace had become a prison for Amara, each day darker than the last. The queen's abuse continued in secret, but Amara's love for the prince kept her strong. Still, she longed for his presence, for his comforting voice and protective arms. But fate was unkind. Once again, duty called Prince Obinna away, forcing him to leave for an important meeting in a neighboring kingdom.
Be strong for me, my love.
He whispered, holding her hands before he left.
I will return soon, and we will find a way to make my mother accept us.
Amara forced a smile, though her heart ached with dread. She knew what awaited her in his absence. As soon as the prince's horse disappeared beyond the palace gates, Queen Yuzo emerged like a vulture circling its prey.
The prince may be blind with love.
She sneered.
But I see you for what you are, a disgrace. And I will not let you defile this palace any longer.
She had already dismissed all the palace maidens, ensuring no one would come to Amara's aid. This time, however, she did not strike Amara with her hands. No, she had devised something far worse. That evening, the queen summoned Amara to dine in her chambers. It was an unusual invitation, one that sent chills down Amara's spine. But she dared not refuse.
Come, eat.
The queen said, her voice dripping with false kindness as she placed a steaming bowl before Amara. The scent was intoxicating, her favorite dish, one she had not tasted since she was a child. Hunger gnawed at Amara's stomach, and though she hesitated, she knew refusing the queen's gesture would only make things worse. Slowly, she lifted the spoon to her lips and took a bite. The queen's eyes gleamed with malice as she watched Amara eat. Unbeknownst to the blind girl, the food had been laced with a slow-acting poison, one that would ensure her suffering was prolonged but inevitable. Amara swallowed another bite, then another, before a strange dizziness overtook her. Her limbs grew weak, her breathing shallow.
"And my lady!"
Amara's voice trembled as she clutched her chest. Panic gripped her. Something was wrong. Queen Yuzo simply smiled.
Rest now, dear Amara. You will trouble this palace no more.
Amara collapsed onto the floor, her body convulsing before finally going still. Hours later, Prince Obinna returned from his journey, eager to see the woman he loved. But as he entered her chambers, his heart shattered at the sight before him. Amara lay motionless on the bed, her skin pale, her lips tinged with blue. He rushed to her side, shaking her gently.
Amara! Wake up! I am here!
He cried desperately, but there was no response. His world spun as realization hit him. She was gone. A wail of grief erupted from his chest, so raw and deep that it echoed through the palace. Servants and guards rushed in, drawn by his anguish. The king himself arrived, his face grim as he took in the heartbreaking scene. Suspicion quickly fell upon Amara's personal maiden, the only servant close enough to have tampered with her meals. Without hesitation, the king ordered her arrest, and she was dragged away in chains, screaming her innocence. But justice had not yet been served. The true monster still roamed the palace halls, her wicked smile hidden behind a mask of sorrow. Little did the queen know, fate had already begun weaving her downfall, and soon, the spirits of the dead would rise to claim their vengeance. The palace was cloaked in sorrow, the air thick with mourning. Prince Obinna had locked himself away, his grief too heavy to bear. The love of his life was gone, taken from him in the cruelest way imaginable. His once vibrant spirit had withered, replaced by a shadow of despair. But beyond the veil of the living, Amara's soul did not rest. Days after her burial, an unease settled over the palace. Whispers filled the corridors, servants spoke of strange occurrences, cold gusts of wind in closed rooms, flickering lamps, eerie wails echoing through the night. Some claimed to have seen a faint figure, a silhouette draped in white, wandering the halls. Fear crept into the hearts of all who lived within the palace walls. Then, tragedy struck. The queen's health began to decline. At first, it was nothing more than dizziness, a mere inconvenience. But soon, her body weakened. She struggled to walk. Her once commanding voice grew frail. Dark veins spread across her skin, as though something vile was poisoning her from within. The palace healers were baffled. There was no cure, no explanation. It was as though something unseen was devouring her from the inside out. Days later, another blow fell upon the royal family. The king's daughter, Princess Adora, was found lifeless in her chambers, her face frozen in an expression of horror. There were no wounds, no sign of struggle, only the chilling certainty that something unnatural had claimed her life. The palace was thrown into chaos. Fear gripped the royal court as whispers of a vengeful spirit spread like wildfire. One fateful afternoon, the chief priest of the village arrived at the palace, summoned by the king himself. Draped in sacred garments, his eyes filled with wisdom, he stood before the royal family and spoke with solemn authority.
The gods have spoken.
He declared.
The spirit of the innocent cries for justice. The true killer still walks among us.
A hush fell over the room. All eyes turned to the queen. Her breath came in ragged gasps, sweat beading on her forehead.
Lies.
She shrieked, her voice hoarse with desperation. But the weight of guilt pressed upon her, an invisible force that squeezed the truth from her soul.
I did it.
She suddenly screamed, collapsing onto the floor.
I poisoned her. I wanted her gone. I would not let my son throw away his future for a blind girl.
The confession sent shockwaves through the palace. Gasps filled the air as the guards seized the trembling queen. But before judgment could be passed, her body convulsed violently. She clutched her throat, her eyes wide with terror, as an unseen force seemed to choke the life from her. A blood-curdling scream tore from her lips before she collapsed, lifeless. A stunned silence followed.
The queen was dead.
Prince Obinna could not believe what he had witnessed. His mother, the one who had caused so much pain, was gone, but it did not bring him peace. The love of his life was still lost to him, and no act of justice could bring her back. The king, filled with regret and shame, immediately ordered the release of Amara's personal maiden, the innocent woman who had been wrongly accused. She was compensated generously, but no amount of wealth could undo the suffering she had endured. The king then gathered the people of the village and, with a heavy heart, publicly admitted his family's wrongdoing. He sought the forgiveness of his people, vowing to rule with wisdom and justice from that day forward. As for Prince Obinna, his heart remained broken beyond repair. The palace, once his home, now felt like a tomb of sorrow. Unable to bear the memories, he made a fateful decision. He would leave. He would travel far from the kingdom, away from the ghosts of his past, in search of peace. And so, on a quiet morning, he mounted his horse and rode away, disappearing into the horizon. The village never forgot Amara. Her story lived on, a tale of love, cruelty, and justice. And though her life had been cut short, her spirit had spoken, loud and clear. Justice had been served. Once upon a time, in a small village nestled at the edge of a dense forest, lived a young and curious villager named Amelia. Amelia had always been fascinated by the tales of mythical creatures that were whispered by the village elders. She would spend hours daydreaming about the hidden world beyond the forest, wondering if there was any truth to those stories. One sunny morning, as Amelia was exploring the outskirts of the village, she stumbled upon a wounded animal. It was an injured fox with fur as red as the setting sun. Moved by compassion, Amelia gently approached the creature, cautiously extending her hand. To her astonishment, the fox looked up at her with intelligent eyes and spoke in a soft, melodious voice.
"Thank you for your kindness, young one."
The fox said, its voice carrying a hint of magic.
"My name is Arya, and I am not an ordinary fox. I am a guardian of the forest, and I have been sent to guide those who possess a pure heart."
Amelia's eyes widened in amazement. She had heard stories of talking animals, but she had never imagined encountering one herself. Arya's presence filled her with a sense of wonder and excitement.
Is it true?
Amelia asked, barely containing her enthusiasm.
Are there really mythical creatures in the forest? Dragons, fairies, and all sorts of magical beings?
Arya nodded, a mischievous smile playing on her lips.
"Indeed, Amelia, the forest holds many secrets, and it shelters a hidden world brimming with mythical creatures. But not everyone can see or access this magical realm. Only those who are chosen by the forest itself are granted entry."
Amelia's heart fluttered with anticipation. She had always felt a deep connection to nature, and now, it seemed as though her longing to explore the unknown was about to be fulfilled.
I would love to see this hidden world,
Amelia said, her voice filled with determination.
I want to meet these mythical creatures and learn from them.
Arya's eyes sparkled with delight as she regarded Amelia.
"You are truly special, young one. Very few possess the courage and curiosity as you do. If you are willing to embark on this journey, I shall be your guide."
With that, Arya led Amelia deep into the forest, where the sunlight filtered through the dense canopy above, casting a magical glow on the moss-covered ground. As they ventured further, the air grew thick with enchantment, and Amelia's senses tingled with anticipation. Soon, they arrived at a shimmering waterfall that concealed the entrance to the hidden world. With Arya's guidance, Amelia stepped through the cascading water, and a breathtaking sight greeted her. The hidden world was a kaleidoscope of colors and sounds, teeming with creatures she had only ever imagined. Amelia spent days and nights exploring the hidden world, encountering graceful unicorns, mischievous fairies, wise old dragons, and many other mythical beings. Each creature imparted their wisdom and shared their stories, teaching Amelia about the delicate balance between the mortal realm and the realm of magic. As Amelia delved deeper into the hidden world of mythical creatures, her bond with Arya grew stronger. They became inseparable companions, embarking on countless adventures together and forging unbreakable bonds with the magical beings they encountered. Amelia's encounters with the mythical creatures were not always smooth sailing. She faced challenges that tested her courage, wisdom, and compassion. There were moments when she had to mediate conflicts between different species, resolving disputes and finding common ground for peaceful coexistence. Through these experiences, Amelia learned the importance of empathy and understanding, as well as the power of unity in the face of adversity. One particular encounter stood out in Amelia's memory. It was the day she met the ancient and wise elder dragon, Dravenir. Dravenir possessed immense knowledge and had witnessed the rise and fall of civilizations throughout the ages. The dragon shared stories of forgotten realms, lost treasures, and forgotten wisdom, expanding Amelia's understanding of the world beyond her village. Under Dravenir's guidance, Amelia learned to tap into her own inner strength and harness her unique gifts. She discovered that she possessed a rare ability to communicate with the natural elements, a power that allowed her to heal wounds, calm raging storms, and bring harmony to the environment. This newfound ability filled her with a profound sense of responsibility to protect and preserve the delicate balance of nature. As time went on, news of Amelia's journeys and her connection to the hidden world spread far and wide. People from distant lands sought her counsel, hoping to learn from her encounters and gain a glimpse into the realm of magic. Amelia became a renowned figure, revered for her wisdom, compassion, and her tireless efforts to bridge the gap between the mortal world and the realm of mythical creatures. However, Amelia's heart never strayed far from her humble beginnings in the village. She remained deeply connected to her roots, always striving to bring the knowledge and magic she had acquired back to her people. She organized workshops and gatherings, inviting villagers to learn about the hidden world and fostering a greater appreciation for the wonders that surrounded them. Over the years, the once ordinary village transformed into a place where mythical creatures were welcomed and humans and magical beings coexisted in harmony. The villagers embraced their role as stewards of the land, working hand in hand with the creatures to preserve the delicate balance of nature. Amelia's story became the stuff of legends, a tale passed down through generations, inspiring young and old alike to seek the magic and wonder that existed beyond the confines of their everyday lives. Her legacy lived on, not only in the hearts and minds of those she touched, but also in the continued harmony between humans and the hidden world of mythical creatures. And so, as the years rolled on, Amelia's spirit remained forever entwined with the hidden world, her bond with Arya unbreakable. Together, they continued to explore, learn, and protect the magic that lay just beyond the veil, a testament to the enduring power of friendship, curiosity, and the unyielding belief in the extraordinary. As the years passed, Amelia's reputation as a guardian of the hidden world grew far and wide. She became a beacon of hope and inspiration for those who believed in the existence of mythical creatures and the magic that lay within the unexplored realms. Amelia's adventures took her to distant lands where she encountered creatures beyond her wildest imagination. She met playful water nymphs in shimmering lakes, encountered ancient tree spirits deep within enchanted forests, and even befriended a wise and mystical phoenix that soared across the skies with flames of vibrant hues. Her encounters weren't limited to land and sky alone. Amelia also explored the depths of the ocean, where she encountered majestic merfolk and witnessed breathtaking underwater kingdoms hidden from mortal eyes. She learned the secrets of the sea, its rhythms and mysteries, and the delicate balance of life that existed beneath the waves. Throughout her journeys, Amelia never forgot the villagers who had nurtured her curiosity and supported her dreams. She returned to her village whenever she could, sharing the tales of her adventures and bringing gifts from the magical realms. The villagers, in turn, celebrated her as a hero, weaving her stories into songs and dances, ensuring that her legacy would live on for generations to come. But amidst all the wonder and joy, Amelia also faced moments of great peril. There were times when dark forces sought to exploit the magic of the hidden world for their own gain. Amelia, fueled by her deep love for the creatures and the need to protect the delicate balance, stood fearlessly against these threats. In her quest to safeguard the magical realms, Amelia found allies in unexpected places. She formed alliances with noble centaurs, cunning shapeshifters, and ancient sorcerers who shared her vision of harmony between the mortal and mythical realms. Together, they thwarted the plans of those who sought to exploit the magic, ensuring that the hidden world remained a sanctuary of wonder and enchantment. As Amelia grew older, her adventures became less frequent, but her dedication to the cause never wavered. She took on the role of a mentor, passing on her knowledge and wisdom to a new generation of seekers and guardians. She trained young apprentices, guiding them in their quests to protect the hidden world and foster understanding between humans and mythical creatures. Amelia's story became intertwined with the fabric of the hidden world itself. She became a legend, a name whispered among creatures and humans alike, a symbol of hope, courage, and the enduring connection between worlds. Her spirit lingered in the hearts of all who believed, a reminder that the magic of imagination and the power of friendship can transcend even the boundaries of reality. And so, as the years turned into decades, the hidden world flourished, and the bond between humans and mythical creatures grew stronger. Amelia's tale continued to inspire generations, reminding them of the wonders that lie just beyond the veil of ordinary life, waiting to be discovered by those with open hearts and a thirst for adventure. For as long as there were dreamers and explorers, Amelia's legacy would endure, weaving a tapestry of magic and myth that would forever enchant the world. And perhaps, somewhere in the distant realms of the hidden world, Amelia herself continued her eternal journey, forever connected to the creatures and the magic that had become an inseparable part of her being. As Amelia's story spread far and wide, it reached the ears of a renowned group of scholars and adventurers known as the Explorers Guild. Intrigued by the tales of the hidden world and Amelia's remarkable exploits, they extended an invitation for her to join their ranks. The Explorers Guild was a prestigious organization dedicated to unraveling the mysteries of the world, both known and unknown. It consisted of brilliant minds, skilled warriors, and seasoned travelers who sought to document and understand the wonders that lay beyond the realms of ordinary existence. Accepting the invitation, Amelia became a valued member of the Explorers Guild. She found herself surrounded by like-minded individuals who shared her passion for discovery and her reverence for the magical realms. Together, they embarked on daring expeditions to uncharted territories, seeking out legendary creatures, forgotten civilizations, and hidden treasures. Amelia's knowledge of the hidden world proved invaluable to the guild. She guided them through treacherous terrains, deciphered ancient texts and symbols, and mediated encounters with mythical beings. Her presence brought a sense of harmony and respect to their interactions, ensuring that the delicate balance between humans and magical creatures was maintained. As part of the Explorers Guild, Amelia continued to deepen her understanding of the hidden world. She encountered beings of unimaginable power and witnessed ancient rituals that harnessed the very essence of magic. She learned to wield artifacts imbued with mystical energies, enabling her to channel her abilities and protect herself and her comrades in times of danger. Amelia's contributions to the Guild's research and expeditions were remarkable. She documented her encounters, sketching intricate illustrations and recording her observations in journals that would become treasured artifacts within the Guild's vast library. Her writings and drawings became a source of inspiration for generations of explorers, guiding them in their own quests for knowledge and adventure. But Amelia's journey was not without its personal challenges. The life of an explorer was filled with uncertainties and sacrifices. She faced moments of doubt, yearning for the simplicity of her village life and the familiar comfort of her friends and family. Yet, her unwavering belief in the importance of her mission and the boundless wonders that awaited her pushed her forward. Through her experiences with the Explorers Guild, Amelia forged deep friendships and found love in unexpected places. She encountered a fellow explorer, a kindred spirit named Lucas, who shared her passion for the unknown. Together, they embarked on countless expeditions, their bond growing stronger with each adventure. Lucas became her anchor, the one who reminded her of the beauty and joy that could be found in the pursuit of knowledge and discovery. As the years went by, Amelia's contributions to the Explorers Guild became legendary. Her name became synonymous with courage, wisdom, and an insatiable curiosity that knew no bounds. She was hailed as one of the greatest explorers of her time, and her legacy continued to inspire generations of adventurers. Amelia's story, her discoveries, and the knowledge she amassed during her expeditions were compiled into a grand tome known as the Chronicles of Enchantment, This magnum opus became a revered source of information for scholars, adventurers, and dreamers alike, preserving the tales of the hidden world for eternity. Even as she grew older, Amelia's thirst for knowledge and exploration never waned. She remained an active member of the Explorers Guild, sharing her wisdom and experiences with younger generations. Her presence was a guiding light, a reminder that the desire to uncover the mysteries of the world and embrace the magic within our reach was a lifelong pursuit. And so, as Amelia's final chapters were written, her spirit continued to dwell in the hearts of those who dared to dream. Her name echoed through the halls of the Explorers Guild, forever etched in the annals of history as a trailblazer, a seeker of truth, and a guardian of the hidden world. Her story would forever inspire others to embark on their own extraordinary journeys, to uncover the secrets that lay just beyond the horizon, and to nurture the magic that resides within us all. The day began like any other in Hopeville, a peaceful town where the mornings smelled of dew and fresh bread baking in clay ovens. Abba, just 10 years old, woke up to the sound of her mother singing a hymn in the kitchen. Her father's laughter soon followed as he teased Adwoa, telling her she couldn't hold a note. Abba loved these mornings. They were the heartbeats of her world, a cocoon of love and safety.
Finish your porridge quickly, Abba.
Her mother called with a smile.
We're taking the produce to the big market today.
Her father, Kofi, hoisted sacks of plantains onto their small truck while Abba skipped around him, pretending to be his assistant. He chuckled and ruffled her hair.
One day, my little Abba will run a big business, and I'll work for her,
he said, pride gleaming in his eyes. They set out later that morning, her parents in the truck and Abba waving them off from the front porch of their modest home.
We'll be back before dinner, my little queen,
her father called. His words echoed in the distance as the truck rumbled down the dusty road. Abba watched until they disappeared from view, her heart full of warmth. But fate, it seemed, had other plans. By afternoon, dark clouds rolled in, painting the sky a foreboding gray. The air grew heavy, and the winds began to howl. Abba, sensing something was wrong, clutched her favorite doll and sat on the porch steps, staring at the road. Nana Efua, who lived a short walk away, arrived to keep her company.
It's just a storm, child,
Nana said, patting her back. But even she couldn't hide the worry in her eyes. Hours passed, and the storm unleashed its fury. Rain pounded against the roof. Thunder roared like an angry beast, and lightning split the sky. The road outside turned into a river of mud, and still, there was no sign of her parents. When the knock came at the door, it wasn't the cheerful rhythm Abba knew so well. It was slow, hesitant, and heavy. Nana Efua opened the door to find two men standing in the rain, their faces somber. One was the village pastor, the other a local farmer who had come from the market.
We're sorry, Efua,
the pastor began, his voice trembling.
There was an accident on the main road. The truck skidded off the cliff. Kofi and Adwoa.
His words trailed off, but the message was clear.
No, no, no,
Nana cried, clutching her chest as she sank to the floor. Abba, too young to fully grasp the gravity of the words, stood frozen.
What do you mean? They're coming home,
she said, her voice small and trembling.
They're with God now,
the pastor said gently, his eyes glistening with tears. The house that once overflowed with laughter was now consumed by silence. Abba sat in a corner clutching her doll, tears streaming down her face. Her parents' absence felt like a void that swallowed her whole. She refused to eat, refused to speak, and when Nana Efua tried to comfort her, she pulled away. Rain continued to batter the windows as if mourning alongside them. That night, Abba cried herself to sleep on the cold floor, her tiny heart aching in ways she couldn't describe. Days later, the funeral was held on a windswept hill overlooking the town. Abba wore a black dress that seemed too large for her small frame, and her eyes, once bright and full of curiosity, were now hollow. As the coffins were lowered into the ground, Abba clung to Nana's hand, her tears falling like the rain that had claimed her parents' lives.
"Why did they leave me?"
she whispered, her voice barely audible. Nana knelt beside her, wiping her tears.
"Child, life can be cruel, but God is still good. Your parents loved you more than anything, and they would want you to be strong. You're not alone. I'm here, and so is he."
After the funeral, the house felt emptier than ever. The once vibrant walls now seemed gray, the silence oppressive. Abba spent days wandering through the fields her parents used to tend, imagining them still there, laughing and working. One evening, as she sat beneath a mango tree in their backyard, Nana joined her. She brought a small Bible and opened it to a verse she had underlined. "When my father and my mother forsake me, then the Lord will take me up." Psalm 27 verse 10.
Do you know what this means, Abba?
Nana asked gently. Abba shook her head, her eyes brimming with tears.
You're strong, child. Stronger than you know. And I will help you find that strength.
That night, Abba prayed for the first time since the tragedy. Her voice was shaky, her words simple, but it marked the beginning of a transformation. Though her heart was heavy, Abba began to find comfort in routine. She helped Nana in the garden, learned to weave baskets, and eventually returned to school. Every night, she prayed with her grandmother, asking for strength to face each new day. Her grief didn't disappear, but it became a part of her, a reminder of what she had lost and what she was determined to honor. Even at 10 years old, Abba knew that her parents' love and sacrifice had planted a seed of resilience within her. And though she didn't know it yet, that seed would grow into something extraordinary. This marked the beginning of Abba's journey, a journey born from tragedy but destined for greatness. Abba Barnes's life with Nana Efua began in the shadows of grief. At just 10 years old, Abba moved into her grandmother's small, weathered home on the outskirts of Hopeville. The house, built from red clay bricks and topped with a tin roof, was humble but welcoming. A fragrant garden of herbs and vegetables stretched behind it, a source of food and solace for the elderly woman who now had the task of raising her granddaughter. The days were long, and the nights even longer, as Abba grappled with the emptiness left by her parents' absence. For both Abba and Nana Efua, their shared sorrow became the unspoken bond that tied them together. On Abba's first morning in her grandmother's home, she awoke to the sound of a rooster crowing and the smell of freshly brewed hibiscus tea. The sunlight streamed through the cracks in the wooden shutters, casting faint patterns on the mud floor.
Time to wake up, Abba.
Nana called from the kitchen, her voice warm yet firm. Abba, still curled under the thin blanket, remained silent. Nana walked into the room and sat beside her on the low bed.
Child, I know your heart is heavy. Mine is too. But we can't let sorrow win. There is work to be done, and this land doesn't wait for tears.
Reluctantly, Abba got up and followed Nana outside. The morning air was cool, and the garden glistened with dew. Nana handed Abba a small hoe and pointed to a patch of weeds.
This is your first lesson,
she said.
Life is like this garden. If you don't tend to it, the weeds will take over. And even when your hands hurt, you keep going, because the harvest will come.
Abba didn't understand the deeper meaning at first, but as the hours passed and the sun rose higher, she felt a sense of accomplishment. Her hands were dirty, her back ached, but there was something grounding about working alongside her grandmother. Every evening, Nana Efua lit a small oil lamp and sat Abba down at the wooden table. Together, they would eat a simple meal of yam and stew, and afterward, Nana would pull out her well-worn Bible.
Before we sleep, we pray,
she said one night, her voice steady.
We thank God for what we have, even when it feels like we've lost everything.
Abba frowned.
But why, Nana? Why did God let them go?
Nana sighed, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. She placed her hand on Abba's shoulder.
I don't have all the answers, child. But I know this. God doesn't promise us an easy life, only that He will walk with us through the hard times. And He has a plan for you, even if you can't see it yet.
After the prayers, Nana would tell Abba stories, some from her own childhood, others about their ancestors. One night, she told Abba about her great-grandmother, Ya Mensa, who had been a healer and leader in the community.
She was small like you but fierce.
Nana said, a smile playing on her lips.
She faced many storms but never let them break her. You come from a line of strong women, Abba. It's in your blood.
Abba clung to those stories, letting them build a foundation of pride and resilience within her. One Saturday morning, Nana decided to take Abba to the market to sell their freshly harvested vegetables. It was Abba's first time helping her grandmother in the bustling, noisy marketplace. As they set up their small stall, a group of older girls from Abba's school walked by. They recognized her and immediately began whispering and giggling. One of them, a tall girl with braids, pointed at Abba and sneered.
Look, the bread girl is now a farmer. What will she sell next? Her tears?
Abba's face burned with shame, and her eyes welled up. She wanted to run, to hide from their cruel laughter, but Nana Efua placed a firm hand on her shoulder.
Stand tall, child.
Nana said softly.
Don't let their words pierce your spirit. They laugh now, but one day, they'll see the strength in your hands and the courage in your heart.
Despite her grandmother's words, Abba couldn't shake the humiliation. Later that night, as they walked home under the stars, she finally broke down.
Why do they hate me, Nana?
They don't hate you.
Nana replied, her voice calm.
They don't understand you. And people often fear what they don't understand. But mark my words, Abba, the world will see your worth one day. Until then, let their words roll off you like water on a duck's back.
One afternoon, as Abba was carrying water from the well, she tripped over a tree root, and the clay pot she carried shattered on the ground. Abba stared at the shards, her chest tightening. It was the only pot they had left, and now it was useless. When Nana saw the scene, she didn't scold Abba. Instead, she knelt and began gathering the pieces.
Do you know what I'll do with this, child?
She asked.
I'll make something new. This broken pot will be the foundation for a mosaic in the garden. You see, Abba, nothing is truly wasted, not even our pain. The broken pieces of our lives can be turned into something beautiful, but only if we don't give up.
Over time, Abba began to change. The daily lessons in the garden, the evening prayers, and the quiet strength of her grandmother started to mold her into someone new. She still missed her parents deeply, but she began to see the wisdom in Nana's words and the strength in her actions. Nana taught her how to weave baskets, how to cook traditional meals, and how to negotiate at the market. But the most important lessons were the intangible ones: how to find hope in despair, how to work hard even when the odds were against you, and how to hold on to faith no matter what. One evening, as Abba helped her grandmother wash vegetables for the next day's market, she looked up and said,
Nana, I want to make you proud. I want to be like you, strong and wise.
Nana smiled, her heart swelling with pride.
You already are, child. You just don't see it yet.
The bond between Abba and Nana grew deeper with each passing day. They were no longer just grandmother and granddaughter. They were partners, a team united by love and a shared determination to survive. Life with Nana Efua wasn't easy, but it was transformative. Through the struggles and the lessons, Abba began to find her footing. And though she didn't know it yet, the seeds of resilience, wisdom, and faith that her grandmother planted would one day grow into something extraordinary. Hopeville Primary School wasn't much to look at, a single-story building with cracked walls and creaky wooden desks. The playground was a patch of dirt, and the textbooks were as old as some of the teachers. Yet for Abba, it became the battleground for her dreams. By the time she was 12, 2 years after her parents' death, Abba's once bubbly nature had been replaced by quiet determination. Her grandmother's teachings about resilience and faith were starting to take root, and Abba was determined to excel in school, not just for herself, but for the memory of her parents and the sacrifices of her grandmother. Abba's academic journey began with a simple yet humiliating challenge: her footwear. Nana Efua couldn't afford new sandals for Abba, and the ones she wore were so worn out that they flapped noisily with every step. The other students noticed immediately. During a spelling test one day, as Abba walked to the teacher's desk to submit her paper, a boy whispered loudly,
"There goes Abba Flap Flap!"
Laughter rippled through the classroom. Abba's face burned, and she clenched her fists, holding back tears. When she returned home that evening, she threw the sandals into a corner and declared,
"I'm not going back to school."
Nana Efua, who was peeling cassava, looked up calmly.
"Why?"
"They laugh at me."
Abba said, her voice breaking.
"They call me names because of my sandals."
Nana walked over, placing her hands gently on Abba's shoulders.
"Do you know why they laugh, child? Because they see you climbing higher than they can. Let their laughter be the wind that pushes you forward, not the stone that drags you down."
The next day, Abba put on the same sandals and walked into class with her head held high. She focused on her studies, tuning out the taunts. And when the results of the spelling test were announced, Abba had scored the highest. The laughter stopped, replaced by whispers of awe. Hopeville didn't have electricity, and the only light in Nana Efua's house came from an old kerosene lamp. Abba often studied late into the night, her textbooks spread across the wooden table. One night, as the lamp flickered, Nana found Abba struggling to copy notes from a borrowed science book. The pages were full of complex diagrams, and Abba's handwriting trembled with exhaustion.
"Abba, it's late,"
Nana said softly.
"You need rest."
"I can't, Nana."
Abba replied, her voice filled with urgency.
"The exams are next week, and I have to do well. If I don't, how will I ever leave this place?"
Nana sat beside her, stroking her back. Reluctantly, Abba went to bed, but not before praying for wisdom and strength. That night, she dreamed of standing on a stage, holding a certificate while her parents smiled from the audience. At 14, Abba's school announced a science fair. The winner would receive a scholarship to a prestigious secondary school in the neighboring city. Abba saw it as her golden opportunity. But there was a problem. She didn't have the resources to buy the materials for her project. While other students worked with fancy supplies, Abba relied on scraps she collected from the market and discarded items she found around the village. Her project was a simple but ingenious water filtration system, inspired by the struggles her community faced during the dry season. She worked tirelessly, often skipping meals to perfect her design. The day of the fair arrived, and Abba's project sat among the more polished, expensive displays. As the judges approached, she felt her heart pound. One of them, a stern-looking man, asked,
"Why did you choose this project?"
Abba took a deep breath.
"Because where I come from, clean water is a luxury. I wanted to create something that could help people in my village and beyond. It may not look perfect, but it works."
The judges tested her system, and to everyone's surprise, it worked better than most of the other projects. When they announced her as the winner, Abba stood frozen in disbelief. The applause thundered around her, but all she could hear was her grandmother's voice.
"Your determination is your greatest weapon."
1 month after the science fair, Abba received a letter from the scholarship committee. It was written on crisp white paper, unlike anything she had ever held before. She ran all the way home to show Nana, who was in the garden harvesting tomatoes.
"Nana! Nana! I got it!"
she screamed, waving the letter. Nana squinted at the paper as Abba read it aloud. She had been awarded a full scholarship to the prestigious Crown Heights Secondary School in the city. Tears streamed down Nana's face as she hugged Abba tightly.
"Your parents would be so proud,"
she whispered.
"This is just the beginning, child. The world is opening its doors to you."
The day Abba left for Crown Heights was bittersweet. She packed her few belongings into a small bag, her heart heavy at the thought of leaving Nana behind. At the bus station, Nana handed her a small, worn Bible.
Keep this with you always,
she said.
It will remind you of where you come from and guide you to where you're going.
As the bus pulled away, Abba pressed her face to the window, watching her grandmother wave until she disappeared from view. She wiped her tears and turned to face the road ahead, her heart filled with a mix of fear and determination. When Abba arrived at Crown Heights, she was overwhelmed by the towering buildings, pristine uniforms, and polished accents of her, the girl from the village. She let her achievements speak for her classmates. She felt out of place, her village roots stark against the backdrop of urban sophistication. But Abba's determination burned brighter than her insecurities. She worked harder than ever, often staying up until dawn to study. When others saw her as just. By the end of her first term, Abba had not only caught up to her peers, but had outperformed many of them. Teachers praised her, students respected her, and for the first time, Abba began to see herself not as the poor girl from Hopeville, but as a force to be reckoned with. As Abba excelled in her studies, she began to dream bigger. She wanted to use her education to make a difference, not just for herself, but for her community and others like it. She vowed to one day return to Hopeville and build a school where children wouldn't have to study by kerosene lamps or be mocked for their shoes. And so, Abba's journey of academic excellence became more than just a personal victory. It became the foundation of a legacy that would one day transform countless lives. In the city, Abba faced new challenges. She was far from the comforting presence of her grandmother and struggled to adjust to the fast pace of urban life. But she refused to give up. Abba took up multiple part-time jobs, working as a waitress, tutoring children, and even cleaning offices to pay for books and living expenses. Her beauty, charisma, and intelligence quickly made her a standout among her peers. However, Abba never allowed pride to cloud her purpose. She joined a local church where she led Bible study groups and volunteered in community outreach programs. This spiritual grounding kept her focused and humble. After earning her degree in business administration, Abba turned her attention to helping others. She realized that her struggles had equipped her with a unique ability to connect with those in need. With the little savings she had, Abba started a small mentorship program for underprivileged girls in her community. She called it the Barnes Foundation, in honor of her late parents. What began as a group of 10 girls meeting under a mango tree quickly grew into a nationwide movement. The Barnes Foundation provided scholarships, vocational training, and mentorship to thousands of young women. Abba traveled to the most remote villages, encouraging parents to educate their daughters. Her passionate speeches inspired many, and soon, prominent organizations began to support her cause. Abba also launched initiatives to teach financial literacy to women, helping them start small businesses. Her efforts not only empowered individuals but uplifted entire communities. Through all her accomplishments, Abba remained deeply connected to her faith. She never missed a Sunday service and often spent her weekends organizing charity events at her church. She believed that her journey was a testimony to God's faithfulness and often shared her story during sermons. Abba also became a mentor to countless young people, encouraging them to pursue their dreams despite obstacles. God didn't bring you this far to leave you, she would tell them. Her words, combined with her own example, inspired many to strive for excellence. By her mid-30s, Abba's influence had spread far and wide. Her foundation had transformed the lives of thousands, and her tireless advocacy for education and women's empowerment earned her national recognition. The government appointed her as a special advisor on youth and women's development, a role she embraced with passion and integrity. Abba used her position to advocate for policies that supported education and small business development in rural areas. She worked tirelessly, traveling across the country to understand the needs of underserved communities. Today, Abba Barnes is a household name, celebrated as one of the most influential personalities in the country. Schools teach her story as an example of resilience, faith, and determination. Her foundation continues to grow, Now supported by international partnerships, and her initiatives have lifted countless families out of poverty. Abba's life is a testament to the fact that beauty and intelligence shine brightest when paired with humility, hard work, and faith. Her journey from an orphan girl in a small town to a national icon is a story of hope for anyone facing life storms. And when asked about her success, Abba always smiles and says,
"It's not about where you start, but where you choose to go. With faith in God and diligence in your ways, nothing is impossible."